PypeServer Lyte is the newest addition to the PypeServer family of software offerings for construction and fabrication. PypeServer Lyte brings the power and intelligence of PypeServer Enterprise to smaller saws. Whether you're using a RazorGage, TigerStop, or a manual saw, PypeServer Lyte can help by automating the workflow and providing connectivity and clarity by integrating with other PypeServer services. Enterprise-level features such as data imports and CAD compatibility are available for PypeServer Lyte, as we've leveraged the variety of import types that help PypeServer Enterprise become the industry-standard software for piping profilers. Advanced features such as pipe nesting on a variable stock length allow this tool to become flexible to any size or schedule of pipe. It's important to note that PypeServer Lyte is not limited to just cutting of pipe. Spreadsheet importers can be utilized to program and track stock lengths of whatever material your saw is cutting. In today's demonstration, we're going to go over the interface of PypeServer Lyte, including the settings. We'll import data from a local file and also from our PypeServer cloud service, and we'll do some example cuts to show the whole workflow. Included with PypeServer Lyte is an automated label printing utility for ZPL-compatible printers. We'll demonstrate how that fits into the workflow as well. So let's dive right in and open up PypeServer Lyte. Now, every time you open PypeServer Lyte, you'll be greeted with a clean interface ready for instruction. If you're utilizing the automated input folders like I am here, you'll see the results of the input immediately in your cut plans drop-down. That can be found up here on the left-hand side. As these auto-imported cut plans are processed, the cut files will be moved to your output folder for safekeeping and to prevent the operator from cutting the same items twice. The buttons across the top from left to right demonstrate the workflow's order of events. The reset button is where you can tell PypeServer Lyte the length of the stock you'll be using. Now, depending on your cut plan, you'll see different values in here for material and size. The import button is where you'll point PypeServer Lyte toward a file, document, or cloud service that will give you a cut list. There are options in here to connect with PypeServer Cloud or to import a CSV using your own custom mappings. And over on the right is the history button that will show you an exportable list of everything that's been recently cut by the machine. So like I said, the cut plans that we have listed are ones that were brought in by the automatic import folder. We're going to bring in one using the import command. So I'll click on the import button up here. I'll stay on this first tab and import a local file. I'll grab the latest one that I got from PypeServer Connect for Revit, and one cut plan was brought in, 32 parts. Click close here and it switches over. On a successful import, you'll see that the new cut plan is available now in the cut plans. Looking over to the right, material and size are here as filters. If you had different material, different types of pipe, you could filter down by these right here. In this case, I do have different size of pipe, and every time I click on a new size of pipe, you'll see that the nesting gets recalculated. And down at the bottom is a visualization of what the nesting came up with, of how it's going to be cut and what is left over as scrap. Now here in the middle is the data table, which is color-coded to match the auto-nesting visual we see here at the bottom. The columns in this table can be customized to help with identification of items. Just right-click on any of the headers and choose the column chooser. Now here's a list of properties that are available from the data import. These include custom fields 1 through 5, which can be populated with any of your model data. For more information on customizing these properties with PypeServer Connect, check out the video for PypeServer Connect, which will be linked in the description. Now we'll keep it simple and just use the job, the name, and the notes columns. Outer diameter and wall thickness are helpful here, but they are redundant to the size drop down above. Length is probably the most important field to keep visible here, but keep in mind you can see it in multiple places throughout the interface as you're cutting. Now across the bottom, you'll see information panes and buttons. This empty area here on the left is populated with a bright red stop button when you're connected to a saw. This stops the move operation in case of an emergency. And next to that is a pause button, which provides even more functionality that we'll go over after we hook up an automated positioner. The information panes will show you information about the last cut completed, the current cut, and the next cut. And when we go to start cutting, we'll use this green button at the bottom right to kick it off. As a shortcut, the space bar on your keyboard is mapped to the button as well to allow the saw operator to forego using a mouse while operating the saw and the positioner. The cut operations, once you get rolling, will all respond to the space bar as the affirmative keep going button. PypeServer Lyte is also touchscreen compatible as well. Now at the moment, I'm running in what we call manual saw mode. This would be for fabrication shops that don't have an automated positioner but still want control of their cutting processes and waste reduction. So even in this mode, we can take advantage of nested pipe based on the stock length that we've given to PypeServer Lyte, and benefit from PypeServer Lyte figuring out the most efficient way to use the stock length, keeping waste to a minimum. So let's run through the process here in manual saw mode so you can get a feel for how things work. Like I said, once we start the process with the first measurement, the spacebar will be our forward button. So customizable instructions will pop up telling you exactly what to do. So we're going to measure this. Now I'll click on cut, which tells me to make a cut at the current position. Now the information panes at the bottom and the illustration here have both updated. The last part that was just cut, the current part being cut, and the next one are all listed here. I'll keep using the spacebar. Tells me where to make my next measurement. Tells me to make the cut. And now I'm on my last piece. My current part is this 65 3/4 inch piece, and the final piece is this 3 1/4 inch scrap. Last measurement, last cut. Then once it's finished a full stock length, it asks me for the next one, telling me what material and what size to put on. Now when I click OK here, it's going to nest the next group of pipe. Even if you don't have an automatic positioner system, you can take advantage of PypeServer Lyte to really automate this workflow for you. So at this point, I'm going to connect my installation of PypeServer Lyte to a RazorGage automated positioner. This process is identical to connecting a TigerStop as well. PypeServer Lyte can be run on the RazorGage computer or can be run remotely using a COM port. So to connect it to the RazorGage, we're going to head up to the settings menu. Now there's a lot to cover in the settings menu, and we're going to make a separate video covering everything in detail. Just know that I'm using the out-of-the-box settings, which are going to work just fine in most scenarios. I'm going to head down to the material positioner settings. Now I know my RazorGage is connected via USB adapter on COM6. Again, the settings video will show exactly how I know that. So I'll just ask PypeServer Lyte to connect to the tool again. Now that I'm successfully connected to the RazorGage, I'll close the settings menu. Now a couple different items just appeared on the screen. I have my stop button, which will activate once the saw is moving. I have my pause button, and I have the mode indicator up here. It tells me I'm in backstop mode for the RazorGage. Now the process for cutting on an automated positioner is going to be nearly identical to the manual mode, except we're not going to have to manually measure anything. I do want to make a small change here. Since my stock length is set to 240 inches or 20 feet, in reality, the RazorGage I'm hooked up to is only a 24-inch positioner. So I can use the reset button at the top left, set it to what my positioner will support. Now a lot of the items in my cut plan exceed 24 inches, so PypeServer Lyte's going to go through each item and only show me the ones that it can actually support. Now it showed me some matching items that happen to be 6-inch, and the nesting at the bottom represents what it's going to actually cut. So I'll click on the move button at the bottom, and then after the completed cut, I can click on cut. It's ready for a new stock piece. It moved automatically, and now I can click on cut again. Now, I mentioned label printing earlier, and I'd like to show you a demonstration of how that fits into the workflow. If you go back to the settings menu, and under print settings, there are options here to turn on printing of labels, to select a particular printer, whatever DPI the printer supports, and then tell it where and what to print. So I'm going to print on the cut, and I'm going to use this particular label template. This label template can be customized by clicking on this button here. So this is our ZPL template designer. Along the left-hand side, you'll see a number of fields that are brought in from your import that you can just drag right onto the screen and tell it where you would like it to be printed on the label. You can adjust the width and the height of the labels as well as the DPI specific to this template. Then once you have something you're happy with, you can go up here to the template area and save it. I'll clean up after myself here, save the template, close the designer. With all these options turned on, I can bring into the screen my ZPL printer emulator, which will show you roughly what it's going to look like on the label. Now when I execute this last cut, we should see a label appear on the emulator here. PypeServer Lyte's telling me that the next set of stock lengths exceed 24 inches. We expected that. And our label's printed over here. Now the last item I want to show you is this pause button down here. This can be accessed at any time if you're connected to a machine. And when you click on pause, it brings up a manual positioner. You can use keys on your keyboard, or you can use the buttons you see here, and you can position it. If I wanted 7¼ inches, click on move. The razor gauge in the background is moved to exactly 7¼ inches. This comes in handy if a particular cut sequence gets interrupted and you have to cut something of a different material type. And when you close this window, it's going to prompt you to pick up where it left off or completely reset the stock with a new piece. So that's PypeServer Lyte. It's an extremely powerful tool that you can run on a RazorGage or a TigerStop or even for manual saws. It's meant to really bring some of these enterprise level features down to smaller saws. Thanks for watching.